Terrarian in the Dungeon, Chapter 17, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. After Seshat got me into some nicer clothes while I kept my armor and such in my inventory for easy retrieval, we, without any issue, made our way to the Hostess of Fertility to meet with the Loki and Freya Familias. But I bet the reason why the two goddesses had been treating me and Seshat with kid gloves was probably out of fear of the consequences of putting me in a corner when I could just refuse my service and there would be little Loki could do to force it even if she forced a war game on Seshat. "You nervous, Jake?" Seshat asked me while squeezing the arm of mine that she was holding in a gentleman's escort. I shook my head before softly speaking as we continued to walk ever closer to the restaurant and I could see in the distance a number of adventurers crowding around where the hostess is. "No. I am not nervous, sure this whole spawning boss for them can be a bit inconvenient to put it lightly, but I brought it up knowing if I could control the process in which the city's adventurers earned their high-quality excellia, then Orario would be all but in my palm, if I don't get killed by some asshole anyway." I said in deprecation knowing all too well, that as with any man who soars to the top, even if he provides a one-of-a-kind service, people will want to tear him down just because they cannot bear to see someone else in a higher position than they will ever be. Yes, if Loki, Freya, and the other larger familias desire to keep monster Rexes on tap as it were. Then they will need to work with you as they themselves cannot activate the boss summons as we have seen. Seshat remarked as Otter had once tried on the Slime King crown summon to no effect. So, for better or worse, I was the only one who could summon bosses. But no more words could be shared with a modicum of privacy in the now cramped streets of Orario as we closed in on the Hostess of Fertility, and then I could only deadpan as I saw a number of higher-level adventurers I could recognize that were most certainly not Loki or Freya adventurers. Well. Looks like the news got out much faster than we expected. I muttered, squeezing Seshat's hands as I couldn't see a way through the crowd of adventurers pressing to get through the line of level 3 and 4 adventurers of Loki and Freya's Familia. Looking through the crowd, actually managing to push into the hostess, I saw the DEA Saint, Ermid Tizaner, the captain and head doctor of the Gen Sect Familia, and the other more pressing person I saw was Tsubaki Kalbrand, the captain of the Hephaestus Familia as well as a master smith. I saw both those two leaders of their familias leading their god/goddess through the throng of people trying to get in, and seeing the famous people, the Loki and Freya adventure just let them through. "Jake, how about we just go home? We can't power through that crowd, nor do we get any recognition for forcing our way through a riot and come out looking like a group of disheveled stray cats when we meet with Loki and Freya." Seshat spoke and for a moment I thought about just doing just that. We could literally just go back home. Yeah. They have been controlling the speed of these whole meetings a bit too much. We can meet at our place after we rebuild it, and plus with that crowd, I bet Mamma Mia the owner of the store is pissed anyway. I said, shuddering at the thought of getting on Mia's bad side. Sure, Otter was stronger than Mia and all, but Mia liked beating people halfway to death with her bare hands way too much. Her hands were rated E for everyone and had no problems throwing down with anyone that causes her restaurant any problems. Alright. Time to go home. I said cheerfully, and then I took Seshat's mount out of my inventory and used it. With a soft splattering noise, the jumbo beach ball-sized slime with a saddle atop it formed on the ground. Once I got on, I just patted my lap and Seshat just giggled and sat sideways in my lap so she could hold on to both the saddle horn and my waist. "Am I the first lady you rode anything with?" she teased as the slime began bouncing back home, and you would think we would be thrown up in the air and it would be a terrible experience, but you would be wrong. Sure, it did bounce a lot, but there were no jarring motions. It was almost like riding a ship with the constant motions of the slime bouncing forward. "Yup," I said frankly as I maneuvered the slime mount around the people who instantly cleared out of the way of the duo who were riding a weird blue blob thing. "Oi, you are going the wrong way to the hostess." I heard a voice call out from the side and I looked up and I saw atop the nearby building was Tiona, who was obviously looking for us. "That's right. We are going home. There is too damn many people there and I didn't sign up to be the showcase of a mini Donatus." I yelled back and with a mental nudge, the slime mount trudged on. "Wait. Captain sent me to escort you there." Tiona cried out and I mentally cursed before I slumped against Seshat who patted my head consolingly. "Fine," I said, giving up on the idea of taking Tiona through a high-speed escape through Orario atop my slime mount. With a loud thumping noise, I made my slime mount leap from the streets of Orario and we landed right beside Tiona atop her building, making her cry out in shock. "Whoa, so cool. A's got one of those but hers didn't want to leap up and stuff. Tiona asked excitedly, and I hummed and thought as I had the slime mount follow Tiona at a sprint for me across the buildings. The high-level Amazon just jogged across the buildings but thanks to the slime's bouncy nature, we weren't jostled around much at all. Was she actually riding it? I asked as we closed in on the Hostess of Fertility and Tiona firmly shook her head. Nope, she said slime is perverted and the slime was just moping around the Loki Familia until Lady Riveria gave it the task of pulling around carts and it perked up a bit. She said raising her hands up in a what can you do motion. Well, with Asa's last interaction with slime stuff being with Loki's slime gun and having her clothes melted off of her. Yeah, that would make sense. Well, this is a slime mount. If it isn't the amount of someone, it can get depressed as these things do have some personality. I explained and I was rewarded by the slime mount bouncing even faster, somewhat overtaking Tiona making her laugh at the sight of the slime's competitive action. I bet Loki wouldn't mind treating it like a mount and just ride around the castle with it. I heard Tiona mutter before she shrugged, and she had us get off the roof so she could help push us through the throngs of people surrounding the Hostess of Fertility. Alright, out of the way. VIPs are coming through. I am going to start stomping on people's feet if they don't move. Tiona yelled and people scampered out of the way at the threat of Tiona's level 5 strength being put to pulverizing the feet of others. Once we finally entered the hostess, I saw the dam inside was packed in a way I feared. It was practically a mini Donatus or otherwise known as the meeting of the gods. Oh, why hello Seshat, it's been a while. Is this your first Familia member? I heard a soft voice reach us and from one of the side booths I saw a brown-haired beauty quickly approach us and all I could think was the word soft. Her presence was soft, her voice was soft, and most importantly the hug she gave me and Seshat was the definition of soft as she pulled us both into her massive bosom. Demeter, don't seduce Jake. I heard Seshat finally call out as she managed to pull her face off of Demeter's boobs while I more carefully pulled away not wanting to push the friendly goddess away so violently. Lady Demeter, thank you for the hug and yes I am Seshat's first Familia member, I said nodding respectfully to the goddess who all but owned Dorario's food supply with her massive Familia. Ah, you are so precious. She cooed seeing me not utterly freak out at not being pulled into her tits like most people would have gotten a nosebleed or some other nonsense. Here come sit over with me and Hestia, Seshat, it will be just like when the Greek and Egyptian pantheons would meet in Tenkai, Demeter said, taking Seshat and my hands and dragging me over as I blanked at the news that Hestia was here. And lo and behold was the short black-haired goddess Hestia, and squirming beside her was the clearly nervous form of Bel Cranel who was shrunk down and hiding his presence at being in the same room as his crush Ace Wallenstein. Ah, Seshat, you are here in Genkai. Hestia cried out dramatically, pointing at Seshat and my goddess just rolled her eyes. Yes, I have been here for a few weeks, Hestia, how have you been other than famously mooching off of Hephaestus? Seshat asked teasingly as she slid into Hestia's side of the booth, and Bel got pushed into the booth's wall as two goddesses sat next to one another and began talking. I then noticed Demeter didn't have a Familia member with her as she sat down on the other side of the booth, and I sat down beside her. Demeter, you don't have an escort? I asked, but seemingly in answer a server slammed down 2 jugs of beer or something in front of Demeter and Hestia and I almost whipped out my aquamarine staff beneath the table to start blasting before I only weakly smiled seeing who it was. Oh, Lunar, am I so alone here, hee hee. Demeter giggled as she patted me on my arm and Lunar Faust, the highest level adventurer of the Demeter Familia and a bounty hunter, only scowled to her goddess's pointed question.